In this video, I want to talk a bit about blend modes in Photoshop. Give you kind of a rundown of what they are, where you find them, and how they work. So that'll be our three goals. This will actually be kind of a short video, and then in separate video or videos, we'll go over the individual blend modes, what they are, and how each one of them will perform. So first off, what is a blend mode? A blend mode is simply a way to control how two colors are going to be combined or mixed on your screen. Now, that's a really simple way to look at it, and really you need to keep this fairly simple. You're going to end up with three colors. For the most part. There are some exceptions to that, but for the sake of this example, we'll say that you have three colors when you're working with blend modes. The first one is going to be your base color, and this is the color that technically is going to already be present. And for this example, I'll grab some shade of red, and I'll make my brush nice and big, and let's just drop down an area of that. Next, I'm going to make another layer, which I will call blend, which is your other color. You have a base color, and you have a blend color. And we'll draw a little spot of that as well. Now, if I get my move tool out, which I can do by clicking on my move tool icon, or of course I can just tap the V key, and I drag the blend color over the base, currently nothing happens because there's no blending going on. That's because the blend mode of my blend layer over here is currently set to normal, which it kind of translates to no blend whatsoever. So what I'm going to do is set this down to multiply, and you'll notice that we get a change. It's almost like our blue blend layer kind of became a little transparent. Now, what are we actually looking at here? Well, let me jump back down to the background layer, and I'll hit D to grab my default colors, and I'll hit the left bracket key a few times after tapping the B key for my brush tool. So I'll make my brush nice and small so we can kind of designate what it is we're looking at. First off, we have our base color right here. We have our blend color. We've already kind of talked about that. And then in the middle here, we have our results. And the result is what is going to come out of the blend mode that you choose. In the case of multiply, this is what we get. If I was to take my blend layer and set it to something else, such as lighten, you'll notice we get an entirely different result. If I was to grab soft light, we get even a different result. So these really kind of vary from one blend mode to the next. We're going to talk about the basics of what each one of these does kind of as we move forward. For now, let me go ahead and just sit that back over to multiply. So that's what a blend mode is. It's just a way to control how two colors are going to combine. Now, it doesn't always have to be on layers. Again, you'll notice that the brush tool has its own set of blend modes, and what that's going to do is control how different strokes are going to blend together. And there are other places that it pops up as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. So we've already seen, if we kind of move on to the where blend modes appear, we've already seen that blend modes appear in the layers panel. We've seen how they pop up over here inside the tools, the options bar for our brush tool. For other tools as well, actually. In fact, if I was to jump down to, say, the clone stamp tool, it has a blend mode. If I was to grab any one of my layers and drop a layer style on it, such as something like a color overlay, this effect has a blend mode as well, and you'll notice this on several different effects and layer styles. If I was to do something a little more erratic, like create a brand new layer, go over to the filter menu, jump down to render, and choose clouds, I could then immediately go over to edit and choose fade clouds, which is a very cool command that allows you to adjust the opacity of the last command you performed, in this case that clouds command. But check it out, it also has its own little blend mode dropdown, so I can change the blend mode of those clouds that I just created. Very, very handy. Let's go ahead and throw this away. So you'll find blend modes all over the place in Photoshop. The more you work with them, the more you'll just kind of notice these dropdowns appearing everywhere you go. Now, we've already kind of talked briefly about how they work, even though I didn't really mean to. I kind of discussed this sort of out of order, which is totally cool. So the idea here, just one more time as an overview, is just to give you a rundown over generically what a blend mode is, as I keep clicking on things I shouldn't be clicking on because I need to grab the brush tool. So you now know generally what a blend mode is. We haven't discussed each individual blend mode. That's something that will be coming up as we move forward. You now know that there is a base color, a blend color, and the result color. You're going to need to remember those terms because we will be making reference to those as we discuss each one of the individual blend modes. But really, that's everything I wanted to cover here, so that's going to wrap up everything for this video. Thanks a lot.